Some Barrie businesses located in industrial areas could be affected by proposed changes to the definition of an employment area. Under the Provincial Planning Statement, the updated definition is meant to protect these lands for job-generating uses such as manufacturing, warehousing, logistics, and related offices or support services. In general, it discourages non-employment uses, especially housing and other sensitive uses, and limits standalone retail or institutional community uses unless they are clearly secondary to employment uses and do not undermine the long-term purpose of the area. Barrie City Council heard two public delegations, both focused on how the proposed employment land policy update could affect day-to-day uses in industrial areas.
And that building is a real variety. It has a restaurant, office use, medical office, health establishment, a fitness club. And so right now the proposed designation is service industrial, and service industrial would not allow, based on our recent discussions with staff, recreational establishments. So things like fitness clubs, things like commercial schools, so i.e. Dance studios, gymnastics studios, etc. And we'd like to request that those uses be permitted to continue.
I have more of a question which would lead into my comments, but it's just regarding the option of grandfathering with non-conforming uses, and with the grandfathering, whose responsibility will be to follow that grandfathering process? Is that the landlords? Is that the realtors? Is that the cities? Will there be a central registry that we can go to understand exactly what those conforming and non-conforming uses will be down the road?
Yeah, I believe in this forum there is no space for questions and answers, but Ms. Banfield is made aware of your comments, and I'm sure her or someone in her staff will get back to you.
While at a recent Simcoe County Council meeting, councillors dealt with three big community issues: an emergency evacuation at a seniors facility, the year's homelessness funding plan, and the long-term redevelopment of the Simcoe Village Seniors Campus. Councillors discussed the recent fire at the Belmont Independent Living Facility in Stayner, where 24 residents had to be evacuated. 4 people were taken to hospital with minor injuries, and 11 residents were transported temporarily to Midland, while the remaining residents found short-term lodging with family or friends. Councillors praised the coordinated emergency response involving the facility's staff, firefighters, paramedics, and the county's emergency management team, noting that the outcome reflected strong preparation and partnership.
The two questions I have is any lessons learned from this that can better our response? I'm not saying our response was anything less. It's just there's always an opportunity to be better. And the second question is, does county have visibility on like private senior facilities where we review their plans on annual basis or sign off on it as partners, or what do we do there?
Thank you for the questions, and through you, Chair. For the first part, in terms of the lessons learned, that's absolutely a great point to bring up. These are always ways that we can take away what we can do better. We have had discussions on the emergency management side with paramedics and how we coordinate. We have had some discussions with Clearview Fire as well as about how we coordinate on scene. Emergency management responding to scene and helping to support is somewhat new in the area, so we're still figuring some of that out. Overall, we've gotten good feedback, but yes, we absolutely do connect with those services to ensure we can improve afterwards. We always want to make sure we're trying to do better next time. In terms of the visibility for the homes, so obviously we work with our county-owned facilities quite closely. In terms of privately owned ones, that would generally be through fire plans, which are reviewed through local fire departments, and there is annual requirements for that. It varies between registered seniors home, LTC, there can be some changes, but there are requirements for that for annual review.
The meeting also included approval of the county's homelessness services funding allocation for 2026 and 27. The plan supports core programs such as shelters, outreach and housing help, and assistance. It also includes enhanced support for a library-based homelessness navigator in Innisfil. Total funding is around $27 million, with the largest share coming from the Provincial Homelessness Prevention Program at $21 million, while federal government provides more than $4.5 million, supplemented by over $1 million million in municipal homelessness funds. Staff emphasized that these allocations maintain continuity of service while allowing targeted enhancements where needs and access points like libraries are increasing.
Out of all the safety and well-being plans is a food insecurity crisis and strategy. The city of Aurelia, in fact, declared that crisis in the early fall of 2025, and the county responded by coordinating efforts around food insecurity with its different food bank agencies. To give specifics, in the last couple of years, the county has funded the Barrie Food Bank, along with other food banks like the Bradford Food Bank, as well as the City of Aurelia's Food Bank, through the Community Safety the Social Community Investment Fund. And then finally, this winter, the county, using one of its long-term care facilities, actually did 250 meals for the two food banks, the City of Aurelia's and the City of Barrie's, during the Christmas season, with warm meals that could be frozen and used throughout the rest of the season. So we continue to try different things to assist, even though it's beyond our mandate as a service manager on this.
Finally, councillors received an update on the Simcoe Village campus, the county's major redevelopment of its seniors campus in Beaton. The project is rebuilding and expanding the site into a multi-building campus anchored by a new long-term care home and additional senior housing, designed to support residents through different stages of aging with services and amenities on one integrated site. From a financial perspective, the total project capital cost is little over $350 million. The county contribution is about $186 million, representing 53% of the total, while external funding totals about $167 million. Key external funding sources include $63 million in development charges, $22 million from the City of Barrie, $17 million from the City of Aurelia, and roughly $21 million from Provincial Ministry. To manage construction cash flow, Infrastructure Ontario has approved up to $280 million in short-term financing, with $80 million already been drawn. Fundraising is also underway, with over $1 million already received towards $6.2 million target. Following is the coverage of the meeting. You can use the timestamps in the description to navigate to the relevant part of the meeting.
Chair Nixon, members of committee, staff, and the public. As noted, the meeting tonight is to present an amendment to the city's official plan to be consistent with the new Provincial Planning Statement, called the PPS, specifically related to the employment land use component. The PPS is required to be followed by all municipalities when making decisions under the Planning Act. It provides general direction to municipalities. Pardon me, I forgot to change the slide. There we go. It provides general direction to municipalities when planning for the future of our community, including the protection of lands for housing, natural resources and open space, and jobs. We are required to provide land for all land uses, including the protection of large tracts of strategically located land for employment uses. A public meeting was previously held for the city-initiated official plan amendment in February of 2025, and when a report was brought forward to Council, it was sent back for additional stakeholder discussion. Staff have held extensive stakeholder engagement over the summer and fall of 2025 to listen to concerns from local businesses, local owners, and their representatives. Overall, we heard that they wanted more flexibility with the permitted uses in employment areas. The new definition of employment area impacts the existing and recently approved developments in the designated employment area because institutional, commercial, and office uses are no longer permitted unless they are directly supporting a primary industrial use. This new definition excludes uses that were previously permitted throughout the city's employment area. Existing areas that are largely commercial and personal service focused do not meet the new definition. The intent of this definition change by the province is to ensure municipalities continue to protect lands for employment and prevent the encroachment of sensitive land uses. Any existing land uses are able to remain, expand, and continue to operate as they do now, regardless of what is being proposed in this official plan amendment. As a municipality, we are obligated to protect for strategically located land for jobs. The community structure map in the official plan includes the identification of major transit station areas, the urban growth center, natural heritage features, and targeted employment areas. This map will continue to identify lands targeted for employment uses, with a minor change in the wording to recognize employment land rather than employment area. Those lands designated as employment area non-industrial, as well as additional targeted intersections, have been removed from the employment land shown on this map because they do not meet the new definition of employment area. Industrial uses are still permitted in these areas. However, they are not protected outside the identified employment lands. Staff have proposed to rename the employment non-industrial designation to business commercial. The permitted uses are not recommended to change in this designation. These areas are intended to transition and buffer industry from residential neighborhoods. From our consultation, it was apparent that most landowners would prefer the flexibility of the business commercial designation. However, making this change would mean that there would be limited employment lands left in the city. As a municipality, we are required to provide for and protect employment lands. In addition to changing the employment non-industrial designation to business commercial, staff have come back to establish criteria to recognize existing uses, multi-unit built form, and general location to change pieces of the employment industrial lands to either the business commercial or a new service industrial designation. Service industrial is intended to provide the balance between removing employment lands and allowing more flexibility to recognize existing businesses, trades, smaller sized lots, and multi-unit buildings. These areas would not meet the new definition of employment area, but are intended to support the growth of industry and economic development opportunities for the city. The service industrial designation still provides the opportunity for more flexible land uses similar to the business commercial designation, with the exception of sensitive land uses. The service industrial lands are generally located in direct proximity to employment areas and freight supportive corridors, which should be protected. A comparison chart of permitted uses is available for these new designations, and there are many similarities. The key difference between the more sensitive uses, such as daycares, places of worship, and recreational establishments, are not permitted in the service industrial designation to preserve the integrity of existing and future development in the employment industrial areas. That comparison chart was attached to the memorandum as Appendix D and is available on the city's official plan site as well. As shown on the map in shades of purple, there continue to be pockets of employment industrial land that are still protected under this new framework, including large tracts of vacant and strategically located land for jobs. The maps are attached to the memo provided by staff and also can be accessed for more detailed review on the official plan page of the city's website. As a municipality, we need to ensure that we protect for employment area uses under the new definition from the province. These lands would ideally be in direct proximity to the arterial and collector road network, accessible to the Highway 400 and rail system, and prevent the encroachment of general commercial and more sensitive land uses can impact the establishment and expansion of employment uses. The service, industrial, and business commercial lands will continue to be employment generators and are intended to buffer and transition employment land from neighborhood areas. All details related to this amendment can be found on the city's official plan webpage. Staff will consider the correspondence and comments received as part of this amendment process and will report back to Council with a new staff report and recommendation in the near future. This concludes my presentation. Thank you.
If there are any members of the public who wish to provide comments, please approach the podium and begin by stating your first and last name and address for the record.
My name is Angela Baldwin. I'm a land use planner with Baldwin Planning and Development Consultants, and I'm here tonight to make just a brief presentation with respect to just a few concerns that certain of my clients have with respect to the service industrial designation. So first off, we'd like to thank staff. We actually have had a lot of meetings with staff over the last few months. We went and did, a review of various properties in town. And I see there's quite a variety of sort of mixed use, what we used to call the light industrial uses, all over the south end of Barrie primarily. And that's an area that we're focusing in on. So these are the multi-use buildings, sometimes 5, 10, 17 units within one building that have a variety of uses. And we called them light industrial for lack of a better term. Those that was the zoning on those properties. And I'm here to talk about a few in particular, but just about a request for additional permitted uses in the service industrial designation. So I'm here specifically representing Belgrove, Deaver Holdings in Simbra, which is Dean Bell, his properties that Dean's familiar to a lot of you on council. And he owns lands at 51 King and 61 King, units 5 and 17. And that building is a real variety. It has a restaurant, office use, medical office, health establishment, a fitness club. And so right now the proposed designation is service industrial. And service industrial would not allow, based on our recent discussions with staff, recreational establishments. So things like fitness clubs, things like commercial schools, so i.e. dance studios, gymnastics studios, etc. We see these around town along Welland Road, along Hooper, along the various South End streets. And we'd like to request that those uses be permitted to continue. It's an important part of the way those lands have developed that these are part of their permitted use. They traditionally have their hours of operation, their busier times are post-school departure times, so from 4 p.m. onwards and on the weekends. So they're in areas that traditionally don't have what we would call the heavy manufacturing in our communities. So less chance of interference, of non-compatibility, etc. So specifically, health and fitness facilities, so gyms, commercial gyms, etc. Recreational establishments, things like jungle gyms, trampoline centers, those types of uses, and then the commercial schools being the dance schools, the karate studios, gymnastics studios. These are all uses that I think have worked quite well in the light industrial zone, and the properties that I just referenced, and also his other two main properties being 710 and 17 Huronia Road. That's on the west side of Huronia, south of Saunders, north of Lockhart. That's also an area with a variety of these types of uses mixed in with retail, service, industrial, etc. So we think, we've made a lot of progress with staff working on the list of uses that could be permitted. But we feel that if we could get these uses back in, they are allowed in the light industrial zone today, and all of these properties I've referenced are within the light industrial zone. It just allows maximum flexibility for the owners. Everyone's trying to lease out their buildings, and if we can have uses that, as I say today, are currently allowed, it gives them flexibility down the road. I think it's uses that traditionally have been allowed and that are, have not resulted in major incompatibility issues. And we certainly look forward to talking with staff more about this. I know they're open to discussion. We wanted to raise it tonight just to have it on record, and I'm open to any questions if you have any.
No, thank you very much.
Thank
Ms. Baldwin.
you. Thank you.
Are there any other members of the public who wish to provide comments? Oh, Mr. Hay, please approach the podium, state your first and last name and address for the record.
Thanks. My name is Wayne Hay, and I am at 150 Dunlop Street East, downtown. I have more of a question which would lead into my comments, and I'm not sure where my question is being directed to, but it's just regarding the option of grandfathering with non-conforming uses, and with the grandfathering, whose responsibility will be to follow that grandfathering process? Is that the landlords? Is that the realtors? Is that the cities? Will there be a central registry that we can go to understand exactly what those conforming and non-conforming uses will be down the road when a use leaves, a gym leaves a space, another use goes in, a gym wants to go back in. Where will we find that information ongoing in years to come? Not that it's going to be my problem, it's going to be the guy behind me's problem. So I don't know if I can get that answer or if that's something that can be addressed in follow-up.
Yeah, I believe in this forum there is no space for questions and answers, but Ms. Banfield is made aware of your comments, and I'm sure her or someone in her staff will get back to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And that takes us to adjournment. That concludes the Affordability Committee meeting. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you very much. Good morning, committee. And it's good to have Human Services here. We've got quite a few items. The first item today we will be dealing with is our Human Services consent agenda. And on the consent agenda, there's two items. 6.1, which is the County of Simcoe support for senior facilities in regards to a senior facility fire that we had. And the second is item 6.2, the correspondence dated January 23rd regarding Simcoe Muskoka District Health Unit 2026-2029 strategic plan. So I would go to GM Sinclair first, but just before I do, Jane, I'd like to just comment that I was extremely impressed with this report regarding the senior facility fire. The partnership that was demonstrated between the paramedic services and our local fire services and the staff at the Belmont was spectacular. There were, no serious injuries. There were a couple of minor trip and fall injuries as people were trying to evacuate the facility as it was in a fire situation. And congratulations, obviously, go to the staff of the Belmont who were able to successfully remove all of their residents and all their staff from the building as the place was filling up with smoke. So anyway, the report is very good. It's a nice review, and it's also a good highlight of our demonstrated partnerships that we have. So I turn it over to you, Ms. Sinclair.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would echo those comments. This fire situation was really a culmination of great partnerships in dealing with the 24 residents that lived in this facility. So we're grateful for all the different emergency responders that were on the scene. Our emergency management team responded immediately upon notification. And of the 24 residents, 11 were transported to another location in Midland temporarily. The other residents were found temporary lodging with family and friends, and the residents from Midland have safely been returned to the area in an interim location while the facility is being repaired. So it was really a great success by all parties. We were happy to be included and work with our partners to ensure the safety of these residents. And I would say a huge shout out to the actual owner of the facility who had his own contingency evacuation plan and was very well organized. And we feel that really made a critical difference as well in the whole emergency situation. Thank you.
Absolutely. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Mr. Dufresne is here as well if you have any questions about emergency services. Yes, Councillor Sandhu.
Thank you, Chair, and I agree with your comments. It is very nice to read and very good to read that how everyone worked together and how everyone was safe. The two questions I have is any lessons learned from this that can better our response? I'm not saying our response was anything less. It's just there's always an opportunity to be better. And the second question is, does county have visibility on like private senior facilities where we review their plans on annual basis or sign off on it as partners, or what do we do there? Thank you.
Excellent question. Jane?
Thank you for those questions. I will refer this to our manager of emergency management, Grant Durfee, to respond to both questions.
Thank you for the questions. And through you, Chair, For the first part, in terms of the lessons learned, that's absolutely a great point to bring up. These are always ways where we can take away what we can do better. We have had discussions on the emergency management side with paramedics and how we coordinate. We have had some discussions with Clearview Fire as well as about how we coordinate on scene. Emergency management responding to scene and helping to support is somewhat new in the area, so we're still figuring some of that out. Overall, we've gotten good feedback, but yes, we absolutely do connect with those services to ensure we can improve afterwards. We always want to make sure we're trying to do better next time. In terms of the visibility for the homes, so obviously we work with our county-owned facilities quite closely. In terms of privately owned ones, that would generally be through fire plans, which are reviewed through local fire departments, and there is annual requirements for that. It varies between registered seniors home, LTC, there can be some changes, but there are requirements for that for annual review.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Grant. If I could just add or ask a question to Grant also on that same line. If a private seniors home operator would like to consult with the county in regards to their evacuation plan, are you open to receiving that consultation and offering that type of service to consult if they feel their plan needs to have a second set of eyes look at it?
Thank you for the question again through the chair. We are always happy to talk with anyone about their plan. We are hesitant to say we're not going to confirm or approve a plan for a private area, but if anyone wants to just review, see how it interacts with emergency services, we're always happy to do that to make sure there is connection there.
Excellent. That's what I was hoping. All right. Thank you very much. If there's nothing further on that item, I'll just bring the attention to the correspondence regarding the Simcoe Muskoka District Health Unit 2026-2029 strat plan. Jane, did you have anything you want to add on that before we go to consent approvals?
Through you, Mr. Chair. Warden Clark may want to speak to this. He led a meeting recently with the new CEO of the health unit, so I would defer to our warden.
Thank you, Jane. Yes, no, I met the new doctor and very excited to be working with Simcoe County. I was very impressed with the new team. Now, that's not to say anything bad about the old team by any means, but very enthusiastic. And it was a meeting with all the general managers, and she seemed very, very interested in working with our paramedics through Jane's department and everything we can do through Mina's department as well. And again, we're going to start getting our deputations annually from the health unit, which we used to get on a regular basis till COVID, and that kind of changed the world. Excited to get back here and meet everybody and actually do a deputation. So expect that in the coming months to have them here so that everybody can meet the new doctor.
Thank you. Is there any further questions? All right. Seeing none, I'll go to the motion. I'd like to ask for the mover to be Councillor Van Staveren and the seconder Councillor Laux, that the following consent item, having been given due consideration, be received. Seeing nothing further, all those in favor? Thank you. That carries. All right, we're going to move on to our housing and homelessness services. We do have a report here for homelessness services funding allocations through 2026-2027. GM Fayez-Baguette, this is a big file, and I'm really glad that you're here to help answer some questions. GM?
Thank you, Chair Measures. This is our annual allocation report where we demonstrate this year's kind of funding plan for all of the homelessness services. These services include shelter services, outreach services, domicile care programs, housing help, housing assistance, and other supportive housing programs, and some rent supplement programs. This year, what's different from previous years is a slight adjustment to some of the funding, specifically around increasing some funding for one of our homelessness navigators in our library system in Innisfil, as well as moving out some of our newcomers funding. If you recall, we got federal funding now for newcomers. So we've moved out one of our resettlement worker programs with the YMCA to be taken over by the federal program. And finally, one thing that the report does flag is this year, we're doing a comprehensive review on the whole system of funded agreements, with the likelihood coming in April 1st when these agreements come into effect, calling back some of the agreements and maybe going through a new procurement process depending on the review's outcomes. So we'll come back to council with some details on that review and what the next steps will be. The review will be focused on establishing standards and tying them to the funded programs, meaning a standard of service delivery for each of the different services we deliver. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, GM. Are there any questions from the floor or from online for this report? I see we have some staff. Councillor Dolan is up first, so looking for others. Go right ahead, Lynn.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Not a question, but just a comment on how well received the funding is to have someone at our library to deal. The libraries usually end up, at least for us, as the first point of contact for people in crisis. And having support at the library has been a game changer for us. Librarians are already expected to be experts in so many different things, but dealing with housing and homelessness is not one of them. And it's really helpful to have that expertise at the library. So thank you.
Thank you for those comments. I see Councillor Follis. Councillor Follis, go ahead.
Thanks very much. I had a few questions. Just right off the bat, there was mention in the report that the funding level was unchanged, and please forgive me if I've misread that, but it sounded as if, just reading through, that the levels of funding provided to each of these organizations is relatively stagnant, and I was a little bit concerned with that, just given, as we go through challenges with levels of homelessness already within the county, and of course with inflation and with growing numbers of the homeless population, it's likely that a lot of costs for these organizations would go up. Maybe just if I could have staff provide some commentary there, that would be helpful. And I do have one or two other questions after that.
All right. Thank you, Councillor Follis. The General Manager is available, and there's also some staff in the room as well. General Manager?
Through you, Chair Measures. Thank you for the question, Councillor Follis. The process of the budget, while the amounts stay the same, each organization is required to do a zero budget process, meaning submitting a worksheet or a workbook and building out their budget for their submission for requests. So this process is what we base the allocations amount on, and through kind of discussion of a line by line discussion or analysis of each submission. So while the amounts are relatively the same, they do reflect the requests of the organizations that submit their budgets, meaning that some organizations find ways to fundraise or complement the funding. And that's something that we always flag, that while we fund these organizations to deliver the service, the history behind, especially in the shelter programs and most of the homelessness service deliveries, is that they were nonprofit charitable actions that were later funded by the federal and provincial governments. So while we fund the majority of their costs, they complement their programming based on their other sources of funding. And that goes towards a holistic budget. So they demonstrate and share with us what they can carry into the program and what they need. So if there is inflation pressures, we often address those. If there's additional needs in your requests, we often address those, as these are just guidelines. And we quarterly review their allocations and reconciliations.
Thank you very much. Yes, go ahead.
Apologies, Chair.
Please go right ahead, yes.
Thank you very much. Just a couple of additional comments. And just my fear was, because I do remember reading this report last year as well, and it was a similar kind of suggestion that the amounts provided remain stagnant, I believe, from the last report. So that was last year. So I guess my concern is with inflation and with growing numbers over time, that may equate to a cut. So just something I'd really appreciate that staff kind of turn their mind to when they're thinking about this. The other thing was, in the report, it suggested, and maybe if Mina could comment to this as well, that there's been a rent supplement program added to the list of programs. And I was just curious, does that take away from what's being provided different organizations, or is it just kind of a transfer over of the funds from one program to another? That is essentially, basically my question, is the same pot being divvied up by more increments, or is just it's a simple transfer of funds over? Thank you.
GM, go ahead.
Through you, Chair Measures. The rent supplement programs have always historically been tied to Reaching Home and the Homelessness Prevention Fund. It allows us to use rent supplements. We also have a municipal rent supplement. So if you recall, Councillor, in the 25 budget and moving forward, we made a significant increase to our municipal rent supplement over the next 10 years. So what we do is we take an approach with all of our rent supplement programs, whether they're federally, provincially, or municipally run, and we just adjust accordingly. So for example, the Canada Ontario Housing Benefit's the one that fluctuates. So that's the one that offsets the changes. So in 2025, we actually saw a slight decrease in the Canada Ontario Housing Benefit. I believe it was about a 250,000 decrease. So we adjusted by taking up more from the different pockets that are more stable, which is the Reaching Home and Homelessness Prevention Fund. But generally speaking, it doesn't really take away or give. In fact, we actually, over the last 3 years, reduced our reliance on rent supplement programs from the 2 provincial and federal programs, and have been really relying on the Canada Ontario Housing Benefit. So we actually increased the pocket of funding over the last 3 years for homelessness services by reducing rent supplements.
Definitely good news. Thank you. Mr. Fallis, did you have one more?
Yeah, not to worry. My final follow-up question. There was just mention in the report about the Community Advisory Board providing comments. And I'm just curious, I don't know if I saw those comments in there. Perhaps they were in there, I just missed them. But I'm just wondering if maybe Mina could fill in the blanks. What was the impression of the advisory board? Thanks.
Mr. Fayez-Beguet.
Through you, Chair Measures. The report mentions the Community Advisory Board supporting the submission of allocations. So the advisory board gives advice, but the county has the discretion to make the decisions on full allocations. So it hasn't traditionally been something we include. It's a ongoing regular standing meeting of a representation of all the different agencies that are interested or work or support the homelessness and housing initiatives that we undertake. And we present to them our investment strategies for all the different funds. The advisory board is specifically tied to the Reaching Home funding, which is a federal requirement. But we use them as a sounding board for all of our different investments. So yeah, they're supportive of this submission, as it hasn't gone quite unchanged from previous years.
All right, thank you. We're going to move on to other questions, and I have Barrie Councillor Negussi.
Thank you, Chair. Just a quick question to our General Manager, Mina. Great report, Mina, but I did not see anything in the budget that indicates financial support for food bank in the county of Simcoe. What, if any, financial support being provided for food bank this year? The reason is Barrie Food Bank alone has a 17% year-over-year increase in usage, which is placing a significant strain in our ability to provide sufficient food to each client. And I don't know exactly what number, but Food Bank also provide free food for households, folks, and any plan for that?
Certainly. Mr. Fayez-Beguet.
Through you, Chair Measures. Thank you for the question, Councillor Negussi. So the homelessness prevention funding that you have in front of you in this report does not allow for us to use funding from these pockets of funding to go towards non-mandated services. So traditionally speaking, the food bank programs across Ontario are a provincially resourced system with oversight from the province, but then given to each municipality as a responsibility. So through this pocket of funding, we're actually precluded from using it, Reaching Home and HPP, for things like food banks or food insecurity programming. To answer your question, what the county is working on is the community safety and well-being plans. And as you're aware, the city of Barrie has its own community safety well-being plan, but it's closely aligned to the other projects. And one of the major things you're seeing coming out of all the safety and well-being plans is a food insecurity crisis and strategy. The city of Aurelia, in fact, declared that crisis in the early fall of 2025, and the county responded by coordinating efforts around food insecurity with its different food bank agencies. To give specifics, in the last couple of years, the county has funded the Barrie Food Bank, along with other food banks like the Bradford Food Bank, as well as the City of Aurelia's Food Bank, through the Community Safety the Social Community Investment Fund, which is by application. So what they apply for is what we fund, only with the purpose of us connecting to individuals experiencing homelessness and for them to participate in our data collection strategy. So that's how we were able to tie it to that funding pocket. There's a new fund call coming out in March of 2026, and then a larger call coming out at the end of 26. But we're going to use the community safety and well-being plans to strategize how we can do a regional kind of review. And then finally, this winter, the county, using one of its long-term care facilities, actually did 250 meals for the two food banks, the City of Aurelia's and the City of Barrie's, during the Christmas season, with warm meals that could be frozen and used throughout the rest of the season. So we continue to try different things to assist, even though it's beyond our mandate as a service manager on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Very good. Is there any other questions or comments on this this item? Looking online. All right, seeing none. May I ask Councillor Negussi would like to move this, and seconded by Councillor Dunford. That be comfortable? Thank you very much. So the motion says that item CCW 2026-045, dated February 10, 2026, regarding homelessness services funding allocations for 2026 through 2027 be received, and that the proposed funding allocations attached to Schedule 1 to item CCW 2026-045 excuse me, I need a coffee, be approved, and that the necessary bylaw be presented to authorize the General Manager, Social Community Services, or the Director from Social and Community Services in their absence, and the County Clerk to enter into agreements with related community services funding services regarding the allocation of the homelessness services funding. Hope you all understood that. Did I get that right? Okay. No further questions. I'll look for the motion. All those in favor? Thank you. That carries. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. We're going to move on to item 8.1, accreditation services for the governance survey, long-term care senior services. Excuse me. I believe we have a presentation coming here to our floor. Is that right, Ms. Sinclair? Yes. Okay. So Ms. Sinclair is going to introduce our presentation from Rebecca Swift.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. I'm very pleased to introduce our next presentation regarding accreditation for our 4 long-term care homes and our senior services. Joining me this morning is Rebecca Swift. Rebecca is our Manager of Professional Practice and Client Experience, and she will be presenting this morning's presentation. There have been some changes in the accreditation program that are impacting governance responsibilities, and so we felt it prudent to provide a presentation to go along with the report on the agenda this morning, and are happy to answer any questions. So with that, I'll ask Rebecca to present.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it. As Jane mentioned, I am the Manager of Professional Practice and Client Experience in Health Quality Simcoe for Health and Emergency Services, and the accreditation of our long-term care homes within the county fall in my department, the oversight of that. So I just wanted to, as
Excuse me, Rebecca,
yeah,
just get closer.
Yeah, sure. Sorry. I'm usually a loudspeaker, so I don't usually get too close to the microphone. So as Jane mentioned, I just wanted to give a quick overview of where we're at in the accreditation process and some of the requirements that we have to maintain and fulfill our accreditation status for our next on-site visit. So accreditation occurs every 4 years. It's a 4-year cycle that we're in. We are currently standing at a status of accreditation with commendation. So the last on-site survey was completed in October of 2023, and that's where we received that designation. So the surveyors come on site, they go to each of the long-term care homes, they interact with staff, they will have on-site meetings to make sure that we're meeting all of their standards and their requirements. And we did very well on that on-site survey and received that accreditation. And each year, so one of the changes that GM Sinclair had mentioned with accreditation is they used to just come on site and you would meet accreditation, you would have certain requirements that you would meet, and then they would kind of come back again 3 or 4 years later and do another on-site visit, and you would start all over again. They've changed their process for continuous quality improvement purposes, and it's a 4-year cycle now. And so for each of those years, we have certain requirements that we need to meet to maintain our accreditation and to go forward and get reaccredited when the time comes. So the required activities for 2026 for accreditation this year is that the LTCSS, the governing body members, so the county council, is required to complete an Accreditation Canada survey. So this year, in the near future, that's our requirement. And from that survey, we will take the information that comes back from that to create action plans for any areas of improvement. So in 2024, staff completed the survey related to their experiences in our long-term care homes. And this year, again, is the governing body. So the topics on the survey will be related to things like quality of care, cultural safety, anti-Indigenous racism, and how we're working on those things from a quality improvement perspective within the long-term care homes. And then it will also speak to the councillors' understanding of their role as the long-term care governing body for the long-term care homes that we have in the municipalities. So the goal of accreditation is really to support resident safety and continuous quality improvement. And they want to look to the board as well as the staff to see how we're doing that. So the Human Services Committee of Management, which I'm sure you're aware, obviously is a legislative requirement under the Fixing Long-Term Care Act. And we are required, sorry, my notes are in the wrong spot here. And the governing body oversees the financial decisions, the resource decisions, and decisions related to resident safety and well-being. So as you're aware, I'm sure every upper-tier municipality in Ontario is required by legislation to maintain at least one long-term care home, and that's been since 1949. And the regulation states that the council of a municipality establishing and maintaining a municipal home shall appoint from among the members of the council a committee of management for the municipal home or joint home. So at the county, as you know, the Long-Term Care Committee of Management falls under Human Services, which is why we are asking you to complete this survey for Accreditation Canada. So again, the areas of focus for accreditation are quality of care, cultural safety for Indigenous residents and families, people-centered care approach, and addressing systemic racism. And so having said that, I just wanted to give kind of a quick review of some of the initiatives that we have in long-term care that we've been working on related to those themes. So as far as quality of care, at each of the long-term care homes, we have a site committee that meets regularly that looks at quality improvement items based on feedback from families and residents and other outcomes that we measure. We have the annual quality improvement plans, which you're probably familiar with because they come before council as well, and they're presented annually. We have resident satisfaction surveys that are completed each year as well. And professional practice and client experience also monitors inspection results. So Ministry of Long-Term Care inspections, public health inspections, Ministry of Labor inspections, and you receive as council the annual inspection report as well. And we use those reports to inform decisions related to quality improvement and risk management for long-term care and senior services. We also have the annual, or the balanced scorecard, which includes the resident survey results. And again, those results are monitored and inform areas for improvement. The survey will ask some questions about cultural safety for Indigenous residents and families. So corporately, again, you're likely aware that there's been a multi-year education plan with a program called The Path that all senior leadership has completed at this stage, and the next phase is to roll it out to frontline staff as well, including staff in our long-term care and senior services, of course, and the core focus is on anti-Indigenous racism. We also have quite a bit of partnership and policy work going on. So we work very closely with Ontario Health, with our First Nations and Inuit partners, Barrie Native Friendship Centre, Chigamek Community Health Centre as well. And of course, with the manager of people and inclusivity in the corporation, we work very closely with that individual as well. And they've helped us develop some anti-Indigenous racism and equity, diversity, and inclusion policies. Again, for that commitment to implementing and sustaining best practices. And we also, in our department, we sit on a committee of practice with the Centers for Learning, Research, and Innovation in Long-Term Care, which has a community practice for diversity, equity, and inclusion as well. We also are very aware and very conscious about really providing a people-centered approach to the residents that we work with. So if you were to, look at a chart, everything in the residence chart is really spelled out in an I language. So their care plans, their advanced care planning, it's all about the resident. It's not somebody else telling their story. It is their story from their perspective. Again, we do the annual report, the balanced scorecard, the quality improvement plans, and we've been fortunate enough to have quite a few councillors over the last couple of years attend some of our long-term care events and some of our celebrations as well, which has been really nice to see that support as well. And again, we have a family council and a resident council at each of the long-term care homes, and those councils meet regularly and they provide feedback to the long-term care homes about things that are working well, about areas of concern they might have. And again, we take that information and for the concerns, we're looking at quality improvement to help address those concerns. And for the things that we're, hearing feedback that we're doing well with, we obviously want to continue to make sure that those things are going well, so we continue to monitor those things. We've also fairly recently added in the demographic section of the electronic health records to provide residents with an opportunity to tell us a little bit more about themselves and give us more information about who they are as a person, so that their care can be more person-centered and more inclusive as well. As far as addressing systemic racism, in 2023, our department did a gap analysis for equity, diversion, and inclusion, diversity and inclusion, and we developed a policy to help address some of the gaps that we found in that, in collaboration again with the manager of people and inclusivity at the county here. Many of our frontline staff have undergone some training, equity, diversity, and inclusion training through that organization that I mentioned earlier. Again, we're reviewing and we've implemented the policy for EDI and long-term care. And again, we're getting feedback from those staff, resident, and family service surveys. And on the calendars, the event calendars, you'll also find very, for example, for Black History Month this month, that's on the calendars in the homes, posted around the homes. There are culturally appropriate activities and themes throughout the homes as well that the program supports put on for the residents and family members for awareness as well. So as I mentioned, those are kind of the themes that you'll see on the survey that you will be asked to complete. The survey responses are anonymous, so it's done through an external provider, Health Standards Organization, HSO. So when you receive the link, it will be from that organization. They work with Accreditation Canada. So the survey responses are anonymous. We do require, in order to be successful with this action item, we do require an 80% completion rate from the governing body. So just as an awareness for that. You will be able to leave and return to the survey. So if you kind of get into the survey and you're not sure about a question, or we're all very busy, something comes up, you will have the opportunity to leave the survey and go back to it. If you have any questions as you go through the survey, I believe the clerk's office is going to help facilitate sending out that link, and they will provide my contact information as well with that link. So if you do have any questions or concerns or anything about the survey that you would like some follow-up with or some support with, please feel free to reach out to me. I think there are about 45 items on the survey, and it would probably about a 15 to 20 minutes worth of time for you to complete that. So And and if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to try and answer them.
Well, thank you very much, Rebecca. We're happy to have you there. I want to remind all of committee that we will be receiving this survey, so make sure you fill it out. We want to reach that 80% or exceed it. Isn't that right, Your Worship?
That's exactly what I was going to say. I'm the worst culprit, and you took away my only excuse. You can actually start the survey and then go back in and finish it later when you get interrupted. So please get it done.
20 minutes of our time. I'm quite confident we could all do that. Well done. Mr. Leduc, you have a question, please.
Just a quick one. Do we know when we're going to receive the survey? Do you have an idea of when it's going to come to us so we don't miss it? I agree. We need to get better than 80%. I think, Warden, we should try and get 100% success on this survey. It's very important that we get accreditation, and we've been through it before, and we've got accreditation with accommodations. So we certainly want to achieve that again.
Yep.
So do we have an idea of when it might come?
Yep. Through you, Mr. Chair. Within the next week, the survey link should be out, and you will be receiving reminders as well after a certain date if we don't hit that completion rate.
I expect we'll see some reminders. That's fine with me. Go right ahead.
Through you, Mr. Chair. This is, as you can see, a very new process for all of us. So we hope the information covered today is helpful. You do have more information in the agenda in the report, and the presentation is in the report as well that has some information. And as Rebecca said, the clerk's office will be sending out Rebecca's contact. They'll also provide my contact. If you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to reach out. We will ask that you confirm once you've completed the survey as well. With 32 county councillors, it's over 80% must be complete the survey. So we really appreciate your time, the time you take to complete this. And you can look forward to some reminders and us reaching out to you. And again, please don't hesitate to let us know if you need any assistance with the surveys.
All right, very good. I recognize Councillor Cox is standing by. Please go right ahead there, Councillor.
I just wanted to thank Jane and staff. This was a wonderful presentation and the information was wonderful. I really believe that the public should see this and understand all the work and care that the county staff do in all the long-term care homes and how we are very committed to looking after our seniors. So I just want to give a great big thank you to all of you. Thanks.
Thank you for those comments. And Rebecca has done an outstanding job preparing for this. So a big shout out to Rebecca.
Well done, Rebecca. Are there other questions or comments? People have any questions or comments? No? I do have one quick question, and that is that we do have many alternates that are available. Are we going to be sending this out to our alternates as well, or only our primary members?
Oh, through you, Mr. Chair, we'll send it out to our county councillors, not the alternates, and we'll anticipate that our 32 county councillors will respond.
Okay, just wanted to confirm that. Thank you very much. All right, if there's nothing further, we appreciate your presentation very much. Thank you for that. Council, I have a resolution here in front of me. I look for a mover and seconder. Perhaps, let's see here, Mr. Fryer and Mr. Norris. Fryer and Norris. And it's on the next page for me, so let me just read it out. That the item CCW 2026-017, dated February the 10th, 2026, regarding the Accreditation Canada Governance Survey, long-term care and senior services be received. Nothing further? I'll call the motion. All in favor? And that carries. Thank you very much. All right. At this time, we have another presentation. Ms. Sinclair, would you like to bring Dawn Hipwell to the mic if she's coming forward? That's great. Go right ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Joining me this morning for our presentation on the Simcoe Village redevelopment is Dawn Hipwell, our Director of Procurement, Fleet and Property, and our construction project lead. Also joining me this morning is Ryan Stitt. He is the President of Salter Plan Architecture Incorporated, and our project lead as well. And I'd also like to mention a few other individuals that are here this morning that are an important part of our project steering committee. At the back of the council chambers, we have to my right, Kelly Moreau, who is our divisional controller from the finance department. We have Peter Puwati, who is our administrator from Simcoe Manor. And we have Peter Verduen, who is our program supervisor for senior services, who have joined us this morning. Okay, so with that, okay, so this is just a presentation overview. We're going to cover a number of key components in the redevelopment project. First, the Ministry of Long-Term Care recent approval that we received. We'll provide a site plan overview and provide an update on the construction progress. We'll talk about some design overview components and some recommended updated design improvements with the project. We'll also talk about some of the campus activities, provide, of course, a financial update, where we're at with the schedule, move-in planning updates, and then we'll open it up to questions. So to begin, we're very pleased to update County Council about the most recent ministry approval. So we have received approval for the final estimate of costs from the Ministry of Long-Term Care, which allows us to secure the construction funding. That's a very big milestone. This next slide just provides an overview of the campus redevelopment. So you can see the colored boxes. There's 9 different housing options, including long-term care and expanded long-term care home, 160 beds. And we have 184 proposed seniors independent housing units on the campus as well. And you can see on the grounds, there are many pathways, and there will be many amenities both inside and in the exterior grounds for this seniors campus. So going back, this was a major component of this redevelopment. Dawn, how many truckloads of fill did we have? Approximately 80,000 truckloads of fill. This was a major part of our redevelopment with the grounds work. This is back in June of 2023, and here we are today as of January 2026. So you can see the tremendous progress that's been made. You can see the county road, the bottom left of the screen, just to orientate you to the campus. The large multicolored building at the front of the slide is the new long-term care home, 3 levels, 160 beds as mentioned. To the left, just behind or to the left of that of the long-term care home, that will be the main entrances to the campus community center, as well as the main entrance to the long-term care home. Near the top of the screen, you can see the multi-level blue colored building. That is the affordable housing, supportive housing facility, 6 levels. And to the right, you can see a second building, a multi-level building. It's 5 levels, and that will contain our life lease / market rentals, as well as our retirement living. You don't see on the slide as yet, at the top of the screen, the area that's covered in snow and small vehicles, etc. That is where our garden homes, townhomes will be. And to the right, we'll have our co-housing or Golden Girls, Golden Guys facility on the campus. So just gives you an overview of where we're at to date. And again, this is our projections when it's finished. There's a lot of trees in the front. I'm not sure we'll have that many. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ryan Stitt to give you an update on where we're at with the progress.
Thanks, Jane, and thanks everybody here at Council this morning. I've got a lot of images to go through, so I'll go through pretty quickly here just to give a bit of an update on where we're at with the construction. So the image you just saw, the buildings won't remain blue, they won't remain yellow. Those are just some of the construction materials we're dealing with at the time right now, but you'll see some of those relating into the images that we have here as well. So on the left-hand side, we have our image of the two front entrances into the building, the two large canopies. The one on the left is the canopy into the village. The canopy on the right is the entrance into the long-term care. So they are split by the admin component of the overall campus. The image on the right-hand side is our entry point into the storefronts of the village as well. So these are the tenant spaces at the ground level. The windows above are second-story tenant spaces as well that are accessed from the inside of the building. As we move kind of inside the building here, so the image on the left-hand side is the main atrium and foyer of the campus and the village. What we're looking at right there in the middle of that image is the cutout and the opening for the cafe, which is noted as the beehive in the atrium space. The image on the right-hand side is the courtyard of the long-term care. So you can see that building is progressing fairly quickly with exterior materials in place on that building as well. And then quickly looking at where we're at with the tenant spaces in the village, these are the second-story spaces that we're looking at here. So a typical tenant space on the right-hand side, and then on the, on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side is our open clinic space, which will be open for medical professionals as well. So again, coming back to these colored images of the buildings. So the building that Jane mentioned, the supportive housing and affordable housing building is pictured here on the left-hand side. Our 6-story building. On the south side of the building, you can see the terraces and balconies as part of that major component for the outdoor spaces for residents. And then the image on the right-hand side here is our therapy pool, which is located in that village in the common building of the campus at level 1, looking out to the north there between the supportive housing building on the image on the left-hand side and our market rental and retirement building on the right-hand. Again, a couple quick images of the inside here. So on the left-hand side is our village auditorium space. So that is got dedicated use to the long-term care facility, but also use for the overall campus as well, divisible into 3 spaces, so you can have 3 events within there. And then the image on the right-hand side is the progression of the main kitchen for the overall campus, which will support all food services. And then just quickly, design overview of where we're moving forward. So here is an image of the long-term care on the south side of the property. You can see on the left-hand side of this image that main canopy going into the long-term care. Further to the left side of this would be where the village is. Looking inside, so inside is the main foyer for the long-term care here, an open and inviting space for the residents and for visitors coming into the facility. An image of a private room. So they're very bright, home-like feel, lots of wood tones, quality of materials in this building, as well as large windows and direct views to the outside. A basic room, so these are semi-private rooms, 2 individuals within that space. They are split by a dividing wall, so they are very private in sense as well. Not that your residents are in close proximity or staring at each other during the day. They do have a private feel to where they are within their own spaces. Again, in the long-term care home here, looking at the dining space, continuing that theme of a home-like feel through the quality of materials, the wood tones, the light, bright feel within that space, and then large expanses of glazing as well at the exterior to be able to connect to the outside. We showed that image of the courtyard being constructed for the long-term care. So here we have a glimpse into that courtyard from the corridors. So we have walking path circulation for the residents to move about in the long-term care that circulate around that courtyard and the green spaces as well to kind of provide that constant connection with the exterior elements, knowing that that is a very successful component of long-term care and resident life. Moving over to the community hub, or the main component of the village, the entry point into the village, you can see under the canopy on the right-hand side of this image. To the center of the image is our restaurant for the village. And then the image that we showed earlier of the storefronts is depicted on the left side of this image as well. As we move inside the atrium of the long-term or of the village here, this is the front entrance from the interior side into the restaurant, noted as the neighborhood hive. Further down to the middle of the image is the beehive or the cafe that we were speaking of. And then the atrium extends all the way into the back of the facility as well with those large expanses of glazing. In the back, you'll note that there's 2 fireplaces back there, which have mantles that are constructed of the old beams that came off of the barn that was on the property originally. A quick feeling of the neighborhood restaurant that we have here as well. So very high quality space, but very fitting for the residents as well, understanding that this has to be tailored toward the residents that are living on the property, but also have an interest to the community as well, giving a place that not only the residents of the campus want to be at, but members from the community. Looking at our auditorium space, again, that large open space. Here we're showing it in a kind of a forum or seating depiction. Again, large glazing to the outside, creating that connection to the natural elements. And with that, I will hand this over to the design overview with Jane.
Oh, okay, we've got a few more images here, Ryan. This is the supportive and affordable building. I'm going to go through these slides fairly quickly, just in the interest of time. We have images of the apartment suites in these buildings. Bedroom. This is the dining area. This is our retirement living and life lease market rental building. And here we have a retirement studio unit with the bedroom. You can see the nice bright colors and the big windows. And this is the dining space in that area. In terms of the life lease apartments and market rentals, these are some lovely images that Salter Peelan has created of those suites, and you have not seen these before. These are new. Again, a bedroom unit. And I'm going to pass it back to Jane to speak to design improvements.
Thanks very much. So this next section talks about 2 proposed design improvements as we've progressed in our meetings with our consultants. There's 2 areas that we felt would avail a better environment. One is, I think I skipped ahead. Yes, I did. So one refers to our retirement living component. So as you will recall, in one of the buildings, apartment buildings, we have a number of units that are retirement units modeled after what we have at Georgian Village. And within that initial planning, we proposed a number of beds that would be memory care beds. So it requires specific licensing through the Retirement Home Regulatory Authority. It's something we don't deliver currently at Georgian Village. However, we have had demand, we have had interest, knowing that with increased age and increases in our population, there is a need for dementia type care in the greater population. And so as we continue to deliberate over our design specifications, we looked at transitioning, rather than hosting the 5 units in the retirement apartment suites, converting the co-housing facility, so it is a memory care, which would avail actually 9 units for this very specialized care. It's more ideal in that it's ground level, there's access to outdoor amenities, it can be very secure, home-like, and so with our discussions, we've had our architects redesign, and with that, we're able to actually increase the number of retirement living units altogether by increasing 5 units overall. And so it's a very, very short return of investment period. It's approximately $800,000 for the design upgrades in the apartment suites and in the co-housing facility, which is about a 2.1 year return. And so with that, and I will note as well, following the return of investment with the additional 5 units, retirement living units, creating more housing capacity, also creates more sustainability for the operation in the long term. So beyond the 2.1 years, those additional dollars, the revenue dollars from those additional 5 suites will help sustain the operations. The second area that again is included in the report on your agenda contemplates a covered parking structure. Again, we had a lot of inquiries about this with the development of Georgian Village, and we know there is quite a demand for this type of parking. So we are proposing to provide this option within the campus. This covered parking area would create 20 spaces. There would be an additional monthly rental fee for these kind of premium parking spaces, but we know there is a great interest for this and wanted to include it within the specifications. The next area is just moving on to some of the activities, some of the amenities that we're building in to the campus environment. So this first area, again, similar to Georgian Village, has a greenhouse. We know there's great interest by our seniors population, and we also include a number of raised gardens throughout the campus. Again, similar to Georgian Village, small golf green. We have bocce ball courts, and similar to Georgian Village, we will have pickleball courts on the ground. So many different types of amenities to not only offer to those 350 plus residents living on site, but for those living in the surrounding community. So with that, I'll pass it back to Dawn to provide you with a financial update.
Thank you, Jane. So we'll make sure I don't miss these slides. Here we go. So there is a lot of detail in your report on the financial update, but in summary, there are 3 key components to the overage that we're projecting at this time. The overall budget at $353 million will not change. We are within the overage allowance of 5% or $17 million, and at this time we're projecting additional costs of $12.8 million or 3.6%. Those costs are comprised of 3 things: tendering results, as outlined in the report, infrastructure works, design and program improvements, as Jane just outlined, and schedule-related costs for the total projected overage. And I will just note, staff intend to include the actuals in the LTFP for Council's review and in the 2027 budget. On the revenue side, we have 636 names on our list waiting for these units. So our list of interested parties well exceeds the number of units that we have. And I would just note that that means we don't have real estate fees because we don't have any sales problems. In terms of the schedule, we do have some minor amendments. As noted in the report, we're moving phase 1 from Q4 2026 occupancy and move-in out to Q1 2027. And for the second group there, we're moving from Q1 27, the original plan, out to Q2 27. And as we've outlined before, we have 21 active teams meeting regularly to plan for the move. It's quite complex. This is a list of teams, and each one of those teams has an internal staff lead, and we work together to update the work plan each week. And in terms of upcoming activities, we are going to be finalizing the operational budget. We will embark on the unit choosing, which will be very exciting for the residents that are currently at Simcoe Manor and Village. We will be planning outreach to the interested parties on the list, completing the tendering and starting the phase 3 construction process of the northern homes. We plan a council event on site in June. And we are working to secure tenants for the commercial space. The fundraising campaign will start. We will achieve building occupancy later this year, and the Ministry of Long-Term Care inspections and approval process will begin. And then, of course, we will move our residents into their new homes, and we will plan the grand opening. So we do have a time lapse that we've put together, and I'm going to ask the clerk's office to start that if they could, and then we'll be happy to take questions.
You can see the campus is literally coming to life with the progress of our construction. So thank you for your time this morning, and we're happy to answer any questions.
Well, thank you very much, Jane, and your team, and Peter, and everyone who's working on this project, a tremendous project. I do think it's a good highlight to see that there's 636 people have already put their name forward to join that. I expect that our own councillor Norcross has got his name in there too. So, nevertheless. Perhaps if there's any members of council have any questions. Hello, yes, Mayor Nuttall, please go right ahead.
Yeah, thanks so much, Mr. Chair. So the overall is 363 million. There's 375 units, but not all of that is residential. As you said, there's some commercial components inside of that as well. Is there a like a cost per square foot of residential that we have that we can share?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the total project is 353 million, and we do have cost per square footage. It's broken down slightly different. For example, the long-term care home will have a higher cost per square footage given the amenities and the requirements under the legislation. So I will look to Don Hipwell, but we do have cost per square footage of the various components. And I'm sorry, was there a question regarding the commercial component of it?
No, I'm not so concerned about the commercial component, more just about the cost per square foot of the residential related items.
I'll turn this to Don Hipwell.
Thank you, and through the chair. I don't have the specific details in my package here. It's actually up on my chair, but Jane is correct. Each individual component is broken down, and this information was provided to council back when we did the original budget in 2023. So we're happy to provide that information at this time with actuals versus the budget and get that back to you.
Sure, that'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Nuttall. I have Councillor Snell, Gordon, and then Dave. Okay, so Councillor Snell, I'm going to go to you first.
Thank you, Chair. Through you. First of all, very impressive. What a massive project. And when this first came to council, you know, it was ambitious. I think it's going to be award-winning. If I could be so foreshadowing, I think you've really, really thought of all the details. The question around one of the change order requests in regards to the dementia spaces, you know, doing a quick little Google, and I heard this on a podcast the other day, that dementia is one of those that are just going to be blowing up, like to a point of 187% increase by 2050, resulting in 250,000 diagnosed cases by every year, 2040 and beyond. And that's just in Canada alone. So do you think that the team has forecasted enough capacity for that sort of trend, and or does that separate facility have the ability to add on as that unfortunate need grows? Is my first question, please.
Thank you for the question. One aspect of our design has been to actually build the entire campus to be dementia friendly. So the co-housing has more features in terms of security, et cetera, but we've actually had meetings with the lead from the Alzheimer's Society, for example, as part of our design contemplation. And so we're trying to build, to your point, design, dementia design components throughout the entire campus. So lighting, for example, signage that helps with wayfinding. So we are cognizant that this is a growing need, and so that's been our approach with the whole campus design. Ryan Stitt may be able to elaborate on that, but there are a number of features, knowing that this is a growing population we serve. So I would look to Ryan to comment on some of the additional features to help protect and secure individuals with these needs.
Thanks, Jane. Yeah, that's correct. I mean, in the design that we have, we've allowed for the flexibility for other portions of other buildings to support further development within that type of care. So there would be ways that we can simply upgrade the design later on if we need to do that, that there isn't a major impact to the residents that are currently living there or the operations that are functioning as well. So that's something that has been considered, as Jane mentioned, that it is holistic in the approach on the campus and not just specifically to that building, although that building does have some heightened increase in the design elements that support that in a little bit further direction.
All right, thank you. Please go right ahead again, Councillor Snell.
Thank you, Chair. Through you, I also appreciate that you're looking for ways to generate some income, right? Whether it's the rent at market or subsidies, rentals for the leases for the commercial spaces, the possible parking spots, right? Because in order to sustain and grow with the services and the programming and the amenities, obviously we're going to need to also offset with some income. Are you looking at adding a la carte services so as the residents' needs change that they can still stay and just add on services? Question one. And question two, have you considered a space within the facility where families could rent a room that they could rent if they're coming along, to stay for a few days, somebody's going through surgery, whatever, they're from out of town, that they could rent to stay, please?
Yes, thank you for those questions. So the first answer, yes, we're including a la carte services, everything from nursing and personal care to house cleaning services, additional meal services. We actually have this model at Georgian Village, and it's worked incredibly well. So we are including a la carte services. And to the second question, we've actually included 4 rental units within the campus. We have one currently at Georgian Village. We know there's a demand for this as well. And so we've embedded embedded them in a couple of the apartment style facilities, and they can be for families who are visiting. They could potentially be used for respite, short stay for seniors in the community, and also for students. We are partnering with Georgian College and Lakehead and many different academic organizations, and so we wanted to build that capacity to have the ability to have students stay on site during placement. So there are 4 dedicated units within the campus.
Great, thank you, Councillor Snell. We're going to move to Councillor Gordon and then Councillor Evans. Gordon?
Thank you. A great presentation, and that time lapse is really cool. I'm glad you were able to capture that. Just a quick question. I don't know if I missed it, but with people still, wanting covered parking and more parking, is there any contemplation for EV charging stations, either under that new proposed parking cover or somewhere else? Maybe maybe it's already being contemplated. And also with all that, rooftop area, are we doing anything with solar?
Yes and yes. So I will turn this to Dawn Hipwell. Both are included. So over to you, Dawn.
Thank you, and through the chair, yes, we have EV charging throughout the campus extensively, both in the front parking lot for both the public and visitors, as well as throughout the campus at the back for people who are living there. So that's definitely in. And we also have, with the phase 3 project, all of the garden homes and the townhomes and the co-housing building will have solar on the roof and rooftops, and there will be a payback on that was outlined in the original report to council. So that's really good news, and we are looking for zero carbon design on those buildings. So we are keeping up with the need to reduce emissions in this construction phase of the project. Thank you.
Thanks. It did sound familiar, and thank you for reminding me of that original submission.
All right, thank you very much. We're going to go to Councillor Evans, and then I see Councillor McClellan is waiting. So go ahead, Dave.
Thank you, Chair, and through you, Councillor Gordon took some of my steam there with regards to greenhouse gas emissions and reductions and those going forward, and it tweaked me when I saw the covered parking spot, and I know that they're sometimes a little small and the number of kilowatts you can get out of them doesn't make sense, but maybe not today, but maybe in the future, if we could get maybe an overview of some of the initiatives that you've implemented in terms of the design for the public to know that we're maybe not net zero. I know that's in our
absolutely we
very difficult to do, but maybe just to highlight that moving forward. Then my second comment is with regards to I love ROI, and when I see ROI of 2.1 years, and given that where you are in the construction phase right now, first of all, I'd like to be totally in favor of those initiatives moving forward. And secondly, to maybe encourage you to give some more focus to any potential projects that could be implemented before you get to the final stage that we could incorporate as part of that design. Given this building, I assume, is designed for anywhere from 80 to 100 years. 2.1 is a win-win-win for everybody. So I would highly encourage you to go back and maybe come back to us in a few months with some other projects that could be implemented as part of this design as you move forward. And thirdly, just want to say thank you very much. Great project. Great to see development and building in Simcoe County. So thank you very much.
Thank you for those comments.
We are certainly building up. There's no doubt. Let's go to Councillor McClellan next, and then I have Mr. Leduc. Please go right ahead, Steph.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to say thank you for everyone so much, their hard work on this. I am living in Beaton. I've had a front row view of the time-lapse video, and it has just been amazing, and it's going to be really great for our seniors in Simcoe County. And thank you so much to everyone involved. Everyone's really excited about this, and this building is going to look awesome and do great things. So thank you so much.
Thank you for those comments.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Councillor Leduc.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. And through you, I just wanted to comment. I sit on a working group with a bunch of other members of council, Mayor Norcross, Councillor Cox, and Deputy Warden Jennifer Coughlin. And it's a working group with a bunch of local residents that are within the Simcoe Manor, and they've done a great job. And I'll tell you, what a great team we put together. Probably one of the largest projects I've ever been involved in when it comes to the cost of this, and it's been an absolute excellent working group that when you look at those pictures, you look at the colors, the soft colors, the wood, that's coming from everybody working together to make sure that we present the best project forward. Great job by the team. I know, some of the cost overruns were at 3.6%, but really out of our basic control, it's become nature that's caused us some of the delays in the construction project, but really managing the project very well. Love the fact that it's been a great team effort by everybody. So thank you to all for what they've done. That change that they made, that return on investment is fantastic. We have more operating revenue that's going to help us fund the operational cost of the business. So, they've done a great job. That's all I can say. They've done a great job. It's going to be a beautiful project. And I commend, Councillor McClellan and Councillor Norcross are going to have that beautiful facility in Beaton. So it's a wonderful job by everybody. So thank you.
Thank you for those comments.
Excellent point. Really good point. I particularly like the fit and finish and the use of very good materials that they're building for the interior, for sure.
I can say I don't mind the building colors either. When Ryan talked about we're changing those colors, it's quite impressive. The construction material.
It's okay. It's okay. It's all right. I get it. I get it. It's great. No, I don't pick the colors at my house. What can I say? All right. Are there any other councillors who have any questions or comments they'd like to bring forward at this time? And Jane, is there anything else you want to conclude with, or are you comfortable? Thank you.
No, thank you for your time this morning. We appreciate it.
All right. Thank you very much. Council, I would look to Councillor Snell and then Councillor McClellan as the mover and seconder on this motion. The item is that item CCW 2026-047 dated February 10, 2026 regarding Simcoe Village Campus Project Update be received, and that the retirement home and co-housing facility design updates and proposed covered parking structure as outlined within the item CCW 2026-047 be approved, and that the one-time administrative support position planned within the 2027 Simcoe Village campus operational budget be recruited in 2026 to support the planning and coordination of the campus setup, opening, and occupancy as outlined in CCW 2026-047 be approved. If there's nothing further, I'll call for the motion. All those in favor? And that carries. Thank you very much, staff, and thank you for joining us here today. This is great.